Surprise! I'm back with another video, talking again. So, I'm just going to be talking over a recording of what was initially supposed to be a character design, but then, I don't know, it kind of turned into just an illustration. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoy watching that. I decided I would go ahead and do a Q&A that I had promised to do like a year ago. I still have some of those questions, and then I have questions from like yesterday. And I really appreciate everybody who asked me questions so that I could make this video. I'm not scripting it, so I'll try to cut out all my ums and likes, but yeah, some of my answers might be a little rambly. I hope you guys like ramble videos. So anyway, before I ramble anymore, let's get to the Q&A. So the first question I got a year ago was, what inspired your art style? Specific art traits such as the wide distance between the eyes are so iconic to your art. I always wonder if you had any specific inspiration. This is a tough question. I am inspired by so many things, and it depends on if we're talking about furry art versus my human art. I guess my furry art is more prevalent on this channel, so I'll kind of lean into that. But if anyone ever asked a question about my human art, I would answer then. But okay, anyway, we'll stick with the furry art. So I think most of my furry artwork is inspired by Disney, somewhat inspired by anime, and like vintage, what you'd call it, nursery animal art. All of those things kind of come together and create whatever it is that I draw now. So the second question was, I'm always curious about these things, so may as well ask, what is the first thing you remember really making you want to draw? Like, what inspired you to get into art at all? Well, I've always, I guess, liked drawing and coloring, like all that stuff when you're little. I remember being really invested in Disney movies from an early age. I loved the animation. And then I remember specifically at one point, I was probably 10, someone gifted me a manga called Magic Knights Ray Earth. And that was a huge turning point for me. I didn't really, I don't think I had any idea of comic books or anything like that, and certainly not anime, manga in that case. That really was a huge inspiration for me. And then, I remember a little later seeing Kiki's Delivery Service in someone's attic, and I really loved that movie, and that became a huge inspiration. And I just really wanted to be a 2D animator for like the longest time, or work on mangas. I'm still figuring out a lot of things, but yeah, those two things, Magic Knights Ray Earth and Kiki's Delivery Service, were just like mind-blowing to me. They also asked, what's your favorite thing to draw? Do you have subjects you tend to come back to when you want to let loose or draw just for yourself? This is a complicated question too, because like I said before, I really dance between furry art and human art. If we're talking about furry art, I really enjoy drawing cats and dogs. I like Cocker Spaniels. I think I default to those a lot. You can probably see in some of my videos. I mean, even this one right now is inspired by a Cocker Spaniel, so I really like those things. Just anything cutesy and that has a lot of forehead real estate, I'm like, yes. Yeah, that for furries, it's a lot more mindless for me than drawing humans. That's what I draw when I'm just really stuck. If I'm drawing humans, I just really like drawing my OCs, just anything that looks tired and run down by the world. So yeah. Do you have any OC or stories? Was another question I got. And yes, I do. I've been writing and world building for as long as I can remember. Like, I'm 35 now, and I've been role playing and making characters and all of that stuff since I was like probably before I was 10, but I used to play Neopets and make tons of characters out of my Neopets. Now I tend to lean more towards human characters. I have so many, and I'd love to do comics surrounding them, or even little mini books with just illustrations would be fun. It's just been hard to find time and the confidence to do it even more so. But yeah, maybe I'll make another video talking about my OCs because I feel like I could talk about them forever. I also have Furry original characters. They're more just aesthetic things that I can draw when I just want to shut my mind off and just draw something cute for the sake of it, or I need examples for commissions. I love them, but in a different way. I might throw a couple up on the screen. I have one named Bubbles, and she's like a sea lion ottery thing. I need to draw her again. I haven't drawn her but like that one time. But she's really cute to me. And then I have, my fursona. I have two. One's an opossum and another is a skunk. I just recently learned that I really freaking love skunks. They are so funny and so cute. So I had to make a skunk sona. I use those to have a way to do example art for when I need to take commissions. Another question was, I've been trying to sell my art at a steady pace so I can at least be able to buy food to stock up and at least be comfortable knowing there's food in the house. How do you always successfully get commissions? I would say I don't always successfully get commissions, and this could probably be a video of its own, but I've been doing commissions for over 10 years and it's a tough market. You have a lot of really talented people you are, competing with, not in a negative way, but you share clients with, and everyone's working on a budget, or most people are. So what I do is, initially I had to price myself more competitively just to get my foot in the door. I was taking icon commissions for $8 each, and that was fully colored. That went really well, and I was fortunate in the way that there were some very popular artists at the time who kind of shouted me out and shared my commission listings, so I got more work. And I guess after a while of just showing that I was reliable, I had a quicker turnaround time at the time. I think it just helped me build an audience, and looking around at what other people are doing and making your own spin on it can help. I don't recommend working for $8 for an icon, but sometimes you have to do what you have to do if things just aren't selling. So you just kind of have to get a feel for what your audience is willing to spend at the moment, but don't overwork yourself. So if you end up having to charge less, make sure you set a timer. This is something I struggle with, but it's really something you should value your time and, send a product you're proud of, but within reason. I'm kind of rambling now, but it really helps to, again, look around and see what other people are selling. Icons tend to be really popular because people use them on their social platforms, or people really like bust commissions where you just draw like shoulder up, and chibis are another popular thing, and then put a little spin on it. Like at some point I was doing glitch commissions because people like that glitchy effect, or doing specific things like hypno eyes and advertising in such a way that like it's gonna attract that crowd who likes that aesthetic. I've seen people do commissions that are like drawing the characters in their cars. Like a lot of people would definitely jump on that. I could see why, wanting to have their furry or fursona in their car. That's exciting. Or people really like meme stuff. For a while I was doing 80s glam photo commissions, and that was fairly popular. So yeah, you just gotta find a theme. Themed commissions do really well, and just keep at it. And I think part of it is luck sometimes, and that can be frustrating, but hopefully that helps a little bit. I'm definitely rambling on that. I could talk about commissions a whole lot after being in that market for 10 plus years. So let's see. Another question was, how do you use references and collect them for your drawings? So I really primarily use Pinterest when it comes to collecting references. I have tons of boards set up for different things, whether it's, hands, faces, tutorials that inspire me. I have one named Rabbits, which was supposed to just have rabbits in it, but I guess I got lazy and now there's all kinds of animals in it. But I know what's in there, so I go in there when I need inspiration or a certain pose idea. I even have one for poses. I have one for hair, and I just collect them over time. And I may collect a few references for just one drawing and use different parts of it for the drawing, or use different parts of each one. I've gotten a lot better at referencing over the years. There was a point when I was just like, why does my drawing not look like the photo? And I'd get so depressed and I would just stop using references, which was a really bad idea. Now I love using references. I recommend using references, and once you learn how to see what you need to see in the reference, it's a lot easier and it's really enjoyable. So yeah, Pinterest is my go-to. How do you keep creating new OC designs without them looking the same? Well, actually, I kind of feel like a lot of my designs look the same a lot of times, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, because I'll look at my old designs that did really well and try to figure out why it did well, why people liked it, and then replicate that in some way into the next design I do. I think people like familiarity, so I try to fixate on, I don't know how to explain this. It's like, if I drew a character's face a certain way and it was just really popular, I'll try to just replicate that again where it's different, but it's the same. I don't know if that's making sense, but, going outside of whatever species I normally do helps me do something different, or finding things that inspire me, like just one thing, like a certain makeup palette, or maybe a flower, or toys, or I don't know, it could be all sorts of things. There's just so many combinations you can do. It just never really crossed my mind. Yeah, that's a tough question. As far as my current brushes in Procreate, I have not been using Procreate as frequently as I used to. I've been on Clip Studio mostly, but when I do use Procreate, I use the gloaming brush, and I think they just had an update. My tablet is dead, my iPad. They just had an update, and like all the pencils for it are really great. I can't even really pick a favorite, but I was using those a lot after I also updated my Procreate. But gloaming has always been a go-to. Another question was, how often do you draw? Do you time your sessions? I try to draw daily. I don't always, but I feel like I draw quite a bit. Not as much as I should. I feel like I could improve quicker if I did more in a day, more studies and all of that. My art journey has not been very linear, and I just had a major life event that slowed me down quite a bit, but I'm getting back into it. Like, I've been trying to do 2 screenshot studies a day with pencil and paper, and I do not time them though. Maybe I should. I do think there's some value in timing your sessions and making sure you don't overwork a piece and all of that. I just totally forget. I just get into whatever I'm doing, and when I'm done, I'm done. But yeah, minimally, my goal is to do one drawing a day. Back when I was doing commissions, I was doing several drawings a day, and that was a whole nother thing. Like, I don't think that what I was doing while I was doing commissions was necessarily good for me as an artist, but that's another story. Another question was, what got you into furry art specifically? Necessity. I was in between jobs and I just opened up commissions, furry commissions, and it just took off from there. And I just enjoy drawing furry things. They're not my ultimate passion, but it's nice to do to just, I don't want to say mindlessly work, but I don't know. It's just easier for me to draw furries than it is humans sometimes. And the community is wonderful and supportive, and it has been a huge life changer for me. But anyway, that's not the question. I guess just opening up for commissions on Fur Affinity and just sticking with it is what got me into furry art. And there's a lot of really talented furry artists that I liked. I grew up like in Okaki, and there were some furry artists like Bonnie, who I think they have a lot of drama around them now, but there was just different Disney characters I liked and stuff. So, oh, and there was like a Lion King forum that I was really super into, and there were a lot of furry artists there too. Their next question was, mixing human and animal anatomy difficult for you? I don't, I mean, everything's difficult in the beginning. I still struggle a lot with anatomy. It's just whether it's furry or human or, feral, whatever it is. But I wouldn't say that it was ever really difficult for me in the outside of just like the regular difficulty of learning something new. Before I started drawing furry art, I was super into anime, so I was drawing human-esque characters and giving those human characters animal features. I don't know, it was just a really smooth transition for me. Is there any advice you could give for someone interested in trying to draw furry characters? Yeah, I would recommend referencing other furry artists that are comfortable with that. I know I am. So if you see any artwork I've done, or if there's something I do that appeals to you, definitely play around with it. Then you could also look at furry characters from Disney films. That was a huge inspiration for me. There's some furry characters from old anime, like 80s anime and stuff, that I find through Pinterest boards that I like, and those are great for reference. And just drawing the animals themselves, like, has been a huge help to me. I love Cocker Spaniels and I draw them, and just drawing the real animal has informed the way I draw my more cartoony versions a whole lot. So that's really just where you gotta start, but I definitely think there's a lot of value in referencing what other artists do and figuring out your own style by mixing different things they do. So it's different. But what's your favorite part of your art process was another question. Definitely sketching and coloring. The line art part is hell on earth for me, but when I'm sketching, I'm happy, and when I'm coloring, I'm happy. So, do you have a least favorite part? Oh, I already answered that, I guess. Yeah, line work. I don't know why. My brain tries to shut off on me when I get to that part, so sometimes I just avoid it altogether and do paint over type stuff. How do you pick your color palettes? Oh gosh, all kinds of ways. Sometimes I'll find a picture that I like and use a filter that's called, I think it's the mosaic filter under effect, and I'll like play around and pixelate it so I can see all the different colors. And then, A lot of it's by eye too, though, because I don't know, I just see colors I like and play around and see what looks good together. And then, or, I have in the past found palettes that people have put together and I'll use those, or download palettes from the asset store and play around with those too. So there's all kinds of ways I'll come to decide on colors. Like in this video right now, I'm relying heavily on one photo of it's a fish, like a shaved ice fish with the flavoring on it, and that informed pretty much the whole drawing. So the next question was, what goes through your mind while you create a design to sell? Sometimes I'm thinking about like what's popular at the moment in terms of outfits or species, but for the most part, I'm just winging it. I'm just drawing what I like and what I think is cute, or I saw something that just inspired me all of a sudden. There was a while back when I saw, which I used to have them here and there, those little glow-in-the-dark stars that you stick to ceilings and walls, and that ended up turning into a couple characters, and I wasn't really thinking about whether they'd sell or not. I was just thinking, this is really cute, I'm going to do this, the silhouette's nice. I think about silhouette a lot and the overall shape of something. So yeah, I don't know if that's a good answer to that question, but how do you sell your designs was another question. Pure luck. I have a lot of designs that just never sold. I have designs that did sell, and I never freaking know what's gonna sell or not. Sometimes I think something is gonna sell really well and it just goes nowhere. And other times I'm like, this is never gonna sell, and it sells in like the first 10 minutes. I sell primarily on Blue Sky now or Toy House. I'll usually put my character up on Toy House and then share the link through Blue Sky. It used to be that I would sell on Fur Affinity or Twitter, but I don't really frequent those websites anymore, so it's just all Toy House and Blue Sky. Another question was, do you have an animal creature that you enjoy drawing the most? I think maybe I answered this earlier, but I really enjoy drawing Cocker Spaniels, dogs, like obscure dog, cat-esque characters, rabbits. I also like drawing anthro-type dolphins, or just, yeah, I think that's pretty much what I go to for furry creatures. I also like bats, and now skunks, so I need to draw more skunks. Do you enjoy any art forms besides digital art? Yes, I love so many different things. I love to needle felt. I'm not very good at it, but I like it. I like to draw traditionally. I used to be really scared of pens, but now I have so many pens and I love to draw with pen. I love fountain pens. I love felt pens. I just love to draw with pens. I have a bunch of alcohol-based markers that I like to color with. I like to sew. I'm also not very good at it, but I do sew occasionally, and I've made a little doll pattern, and they're gumi pawns, and I really like to do those when I have time. I also love music, which I'm also not very good at, but I have a guitar and I've been trying to learn how to play that more. When I was younger, my grandmother got me into violin lessons, and that was a lot of fun, and I just think I really love music. It's just up until recently I haven't really had a lot of time for myself, so now that I do, I plan on making good use of it. What animal do you like the best to design, and what's your favorite design? I'll have to throw a picture up of my favorite furry design that I've done. Her name is Lavinia. I ended up having to sell her ultimately to pay for my rent 1 month, but She was one of my favorites, and she's kind of Cocker Spaniel coated. I have mentioned just a little bit ago, and I think before that too. I really love drawing Cocker Spaniels. I don't know why. I just do. And then the final question is, do you like budgies? Yes, I love budgies. I love budgies so much, in fact, that I have several designs based on them, and there's a little budgie plushie I want to make at some point. Um, I'll throw some pictures up so that you can see them. So yeah, I think that was all of the questions this round, and this video is really long, so if you made it to the end, thank you, and I hope that I was able to answer some questions and or at least help you get through a drawing, maybe, having something to listen to. I hope to do some more talking videos soon, so stick around for that, and yep, that's all.